Hello and welcome to the third edition of the Kajabi Fireside Chats. Fantastic to have you here with me if you are joining us live or if you are on the replay. I am so excited to have Allie, aka Kajabi Allie, joining us today. Welcome. It's awesome to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I took Fireside Chat very literally. I thought I'd have
Oh my God, I love it.
fire in the background to keep us cozy.
Oh, that is very cute. I have my fire themed lights in the background. Being in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, there is plenty of fire just outside the window, like it's hot. So,
Totally.
but I very much appreciate it. Well, I would love to start with this is a funny story. Back in 2019, when I first heard about Kajabi, do you know how I heard about it?
I don't.
Through you, through a webinar that you did with someone, and I don't even remember who it was. That was my first introduction
Oh
to
my
Kajabi.
gosh.
And so this feels like this is super cool. Like, yeah. So I
Oh,
just thought
I
I
had
would
no
share that.
idea. I don't think you've ever told me that
Yeah.
story. Oh my gosh.
No. So you did a webinar with someone introducing Kajabi, and I was like, damn. And I was using Teachable and all the other things and getting frustrated. And I just thought, that was a nice, comeback all these years later that we're
Yeah, it's
here
very
chatting
cool.
on our own webinar.
It's a full circle moment. Yeah, I used to do a lot of these types of conversations, and it's one of my favorite things to do because it just feels like we have an opportunity to chat about not just the creator economy, but like how Kajabi thinks about things and how we want to help empower creators. And so very early on, I was like, I just want to talk to people about this because it seems like it's like the best kept secret in the creator economy, and it shouldn't be a secret anymore. And
Yeah.
so that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, excellent. Before we get started with my lovely list of questions, because I got lots of questions, I'm a question person. Um, I would just love to say to everyone else, this is not my Ask Ellie questions time. This is for everyone who is here. So if you do have questions for Ellie, please do pop them into the chat so it doesn't, be 100% the Sue and Ellie show. We would love to hear from everyone who is joining us. And Ellie is like, give me all the questions. I'm here for it. But first question, because of that, you to me seem like almost the face of Kajabi ever since I joined. Like you've been forefront. What is your role at Kajabi? Or I mean, sure, it's had an evolution, but Brendon Burchard is like, thanks, Allie, you've been there since the beginning. So, where is your place in the Kajabi world?
This is a question I ask myself every day. What is my job here? I don't really know. But no, I'm so excited to share. So I have been at Kajabi. In June, I hit my 7-year mark. So I'm
Oh, wow.
going into my 8th year, and it feels like truly like a dream come true to be at Kajabi for this long and to just be at the company in general. But when I started, I like to give the context that when I started, there was about 25 people in the organization, and I was the second female hire overall and the first one on marketing. So it was like the
Wow.
Wild West. And when you ask what my job was, back then it was literally all hands on deck. We were startup, everyone did everything. So I
Yep.
didn't really have a specific job. It was just like everyone did everything. And throughout the years, I have done a lot of different things at Kajabi, but I started our partner program, which is our affiliate program, back in 2018. Grew that with amazing partners like yourself, have had such a fun time building that ecosystem, and then took on community and events and experiences. So we do, our team does Kajabi Hero Live, which is our big conference every year. We do Kajabi Sessions, which is more of like meetup style events. And then honestly, I just get to do a lot of fun partnership and community things, like whatever you can think of when it comes to partnering with people and in cultivating our community. It falls under the umbrella of what we get to do at Kajabi. And so it's been really fun to be able to build that. And have had a lot of fun, exciting experiences with partners and our community. But also I love that I get to kind of be like a learner of the product myself. I get to work hand in hand with the product team. I get to kind of be like a liaison between what our community is saying and what our product team is saying, and how do we kind of help make those two things come together. And so spend a lot of time inside of the product myself, using it and trying to understand it and understand the world in which our creators and our heroes, as we call them, come from. So yeah, a little bit of everything, but it's the most fun job in the world.
That's amazing. I love your job. It sounds so cool.
Me too.
Yeah. So for someone who is brand new to being a creator,
Mhm.
do you think, like, there's a lot of talk, and you hear this with lots of things, but oh, it's too late. There's too many people doing this already. What are your thoughts around that?
I think that that is a great question, and it's something that I hear all the time as well. And I think it's absolutely not true. I think even though, personally, I've been around this for going on 8 years, I feel like we are only at like the start of this whole world. The creator economy, we always say this, Ahad, our CEO, has said this a lot, is that our heroes, our customers, were the creator economy before the creator economy ever even existed or was like a formalized thing. Kajabi's been around for 14 years, almost 15, and our creators have been doing this, building sustainable businesses, and yet we're still at the tip of the iceberg of the general public understanding and knowing that this world
Yeah.
exists. And so
Yeah.
I don't think it's too late at all. I'm actually right now at an event with Brendon Burchard, and somebody
Ooh.
asked this question around saturation specifically, like
Yeah.
not just is it too late to start, but is there such thing as oversaturation, and like are there so many other people doing what I'm doing? Can I even make it work? And his literal answer, not even an hour ago, was there is no such thing as oversaturation. Never in the history of the world has there been too much of something that people don't buy. So
Yeah.
I
100%.
tend to agree with that philosophy. And I think right now we don't even know what this industry is going to be in 10, 15, 20 years. Social media hasn't been around long enough for us to understand the life cycle of a business that is built on the back of social media. So we are at the very beginning of this thing, which is really, really fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's I just think it's so exciting what the future, has to hold. And at Kajabi Hero Live, Ahad showed that slide where it's like the creator economy. Like, I remember starting in 2019, and it was like, oh, it'll be worth 200 and something billion. And he was like, nah, $480 billion.
Yeah.
But given that, how do you think is the best way that people can make an impact as a creator and get their little slice of that in 2025 and
Yeah.
beyond?
Yeah, totally. I think now more than ever, the most important thing, there's two things in my mind. It's start by building an audience. And I think a lot of
Mm,
times when I say build an audience, people automatically assume like, oh, okay, I need hundreds of thousands or millions of followers in order for that to be an audience. Like, no, an
yeah,
audience is literally anyone who is listening to the thing that you are saying. So even
yeah,
if you have 10 people listening to the thing you are saying, you have an audience. And so
yes,
build an audience and grow that audience and make sure that it is the most engaged people that want to hear the message that you have to share. And then
hmm,
once you start to do that, it's so important very early on when you start to build your audience to actually own that audience. And I think this is the key
yes,
principle that we at Kajabi have started to really try to like evangelize in the world, because I don't think that there's another platform or another conversation out there like this right now, which is the importance of creators, entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call this field in this industry, owning their audience. And by owning their audience, I mean, you have social platforms that allow you to have very large reach, and they allow you to get in front of new people. Think about that as like a distribution channel,
yeah,
but you don't own it, and you don't actually have access to the people that you're talking to on a regular basis. If those platforms were to go away tomorrow, you would not be able to contact the people that you have cultivated this direct relationship with. And so by owning your audience, I mean, moving them over to an email list, moving them over to a product that you own, any way that you can essentially have that direct one-to-one relationship, that if something were to happen, you can get in contact with them and you can continue to share your message, is so important. And so I really do think that that is the number one principle for anyone who wants to get started in this online business space, monetizing their knowledge and their content through a digital product. It's grow your audience, because you need an audience to sell to. You have to have people who are willing to buy the thing that you are saying and selling,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
own that audience and continue to own that audience and create a funnel, whatever you want to call it, from where you're growing that audience to how you're owning them. If you do that very early on, you will have so much success selling your products later on down the road.
Yeah, totally agree, because so many people have been pretty much screwed over, unfortunately, by social platforms, deplatformed, like
Totally.
lost monetization, like Instagram just deleting their 100,000 person account, and then people are like, no, my whole business is gone. And
Gone.
it's such a risk.
I know.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I'll tell this little side story. This is just a personal anecdote. My husband is a creator and he is an artist, and he has a Disney fan account, and his Disney Instagram fan account grew from 5,000 followers to now he has over 107,000 followers since April. It's grown.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. Don't ask me how, because I don't understand it at all, but it's incredible. But to your point, literally this happened to him in August. I think he was at about 70, 80,000 followers at that point. And overnight, Instagram shut down his account, and they sent him an email that said, your account has been deactivated. You cannot appeal this. I saw the email with my own eyes. It literally said, you cannot appeal this. He freaked out. It was overnight. He lost access to these people. Thankfully, I was able to contact someone who knew someone who knew someone. And they were able to bring the account back, but it took us a good 2 to 3 weeks to get it back. And we were unsure the whole time whether or not we were going to be able to get it back. And so I share that story to say, like, that was a very real awakening for me personally, because we talk about this all the time at Kajabi, but I had never personally experienced someone going through that. And it was a nightmare. And so this has just become a very true thing to me, that, like, you know, you have to own your audience. You have to.
And it's one of those things where you think, it'll never happen to me. And your story is like, so well, the problem is you don't know when, like, you don't know if, maybe it won't. And maybe, you know, that's cool.
But
maybe
why
you'll
take
be
that
one of the
risk?
lucky ones. Oh my, a risk with your entire business seems like just not worth it to me. Use those platforms to help get your word, your message in front of people, for sure. But then having them, you know, in your world. And, you know, that's one of the things that Kajabi is so adamant about. Like, this is why, you know, you give us all these tools, the email lists and the marketing funnels and the different types of products, because every business is going to be different. Like, your husband, who's, you know, got his Disney account, is going to be very different from me selling Kajabi strategy services. Like, it's so, or, you know, someone who's, you know, who's selling a coaching program, or everyone's going to have these different needs. And that is one of the reasons why I love what Kajabi's doing with this expanded product offering, because it allows you to fit it into your business.
Yeah. And the thing that you said that I think is so, so important, and we want to preach at Kajabi as well, is it's not an or situation. It's an and situation. Like, when I say grow your audience and own your audience, I am not suggesting that social platforms don't have a place for that. Like, that is literally what social platforms are made for, is to grow an audience. They're amazing at connecting you to people that you would have otherwise never had the ability to reach. But it's the and that is the most important piece, is you have to have both. You have to have a way to generate new audience members on social platforms, and you have to have a way to get in contact with those people if you ever had a platform go down.
Yeah, cool. One of the things that was a big takeaway for a lot of people at Kajabi Hero Live was, and with from Brendon as well, so I would love to see if he's expanded on that in your little sessions that you're having with him, was around simplicity, keeping things simple. You're someone who has seen a lot of evolution in this space, having been around for 7 years. You've seen the crazy funnel hacking, like, complicated systems. What is your thought as someone who has a lot of contact with a lot of different types of creators, and also, you know, a key directly to people like Brendon Burchard? Like, what is your thoughts and opinions around simplicity as a theme going forward?
Totally. I think it is probably single-handedly besides maybe mindset and, like, just knowing, like, getting through their own roadblocks in our own heads, which I see as a huge issue for creators and entrepreneurs. I think simplicity is, like, the number one most important, like, rule of thumb to follow. I've seen so many people who have had a lot of success both on Kajabi and off, like, get in their own way when it comes to simplifying. And because of that, their businesses, like, start to tank, or they start to go down, or they start to not being able to expand as far as maybe they could have. And then on the flip side, I see people who have never gotten started, who think that they have to do everything, just literally never take their first step because they don't understand how to simplify. And so my number one piece of advice whenever I do webinars or anything where I'm really talking about the technology in Kajabi is I always do a demo, and I go, you know, I know it's very overwhelming. There is a lot that you can do inside of Kajabi. That's kind of the beauty of the platform, is it's so robust. But if you have never sold anything online, if you have never made $1 from a digital product, the number one most important thing to do when you jump into Kajabi is create an offer. Create an offer.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, I agree.
A checkout page, and that checkout page, you can either promote it directly to your audience via, email or social or whatever, or you can create a sales page that takes you to that checkout page. But forget about everything else, because if you don't have a checkout page, you can't charge people money. So people sometimes just need that very simple reminder, because you can get in there and you can be like, oh, I need a website, and I need a full funnel, and I need upsells, and I need downsells, and I need a whole email sequence, and all those things are amazing. And yes, as your business grows and gets more sophisticated, for sure. But at the end of the day, all you need to make money is a product to sell and a checkout page to capture money.
Oh my God, preach. Oh, I am, this is my message that I tell people. I'm like, and don't worry about what color the button is on your checkout. Just pick one. It doesn't matter.
No, I'll tell you. So I think it's perfect timing that I'm at this event, because Brendon said the same thing. Literally, I'll pull it up on my phone. I took a picture. He is so funny. He shared this slide, and I'm sure he's shared it other places. But if you can see, it literally has 9 bullet points, and it's his entire launch sequence. And it's just announce your offer, show social proof, tell them a bonus, and then close cart emails. And he was talking about how it's just that simple every single time. And if you can do that every single time and you master that, then you can refine other things about your product and whatever. But he just keeps it so dead simple. And then the other thing that he shared was, I think it's growthday.com/PDF is his number one converting funnel. I would encourage everyone to go there and to look at what he does, because it's just so simple. It's so simple. And I just love that someone who's made over $100 million on Kajabi, but also someone who's making their first dollar, they can follow the same formula and have the same, success. And it doesn't have to be overly complicated. The last thing I'll say on the subject is Vinny, who I'm sure you've met. He's our general counsel.
He's coming in tomorrow.
Oh, he's incredible. So I'm sure he'll say something to this effect too. But I always remember this quote. We were on a call one time, and we were talking about this idea of simplification and making sure to keep it simple. And he said, and I don't even think he realized how profound it was in the moment, but I was like, wow, Vinny, that was good. He said, as your business grows, the operations and the output of what you do should simplify, and the people that you have around you, your team, should actually be the thing that gets more complex. So what you're doing should always stay simple, but who you have running that and the thought process you put behind it. He said it in a much more elegant way than I'm saying it now, but he was basically the people should get more complex, not the solution.
Yes.
Which I love.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember Vinny in Australia at the session saying that so many people come to Kajabi with these super complex funnels because they just it's so hard to run, and there's so many pieces and there's so many things, and they just want to be like, can we just strip it down? Natalie Ellis being, a prime example of that. Yeah.
Totally. What are people's reactions when you talk about creating an offer and that's all you need to sell? What do you hear is the common feedback to that?
Resistance, because they think they have to have a website. So that's, this is my exact preach thing that I say, forget the website. You don't even need a website. And it's oh, but I can't sell without a website. And it's you just need to have a place for people to learn, to be able to give you money. And for you to be able to tell them about what's happening. Like you said, everything else can come later. And sure, if you have a sales page with great copy and beautiful images and all that kind of stuff, it may convert better. But if you can't sell it off a simple checkout, then maybe, you need to go back to your audience, look at your messaging. There's things it needs to be able to be sold simply to be able to expand it, is my thoughts.
100%. I mean, even when you have a really robust course, right? Something that has a ton of modules and a ton of information in it. Or even something we'll take a personal example of Kajabi, right? The more that I actually show Kajabi and demo Kajabi, I actually think that makes it harder for someone to because the
Yeah.
more that you see of a product like Kajabi or, a course or whatever, the more you learn about it, the more questions you have. And the more
Yes.
questions you have, the more confusion or opportunity for unclarity you bring up.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if you kind of think about that in your sales cycle, like, yes, you want to give people information and yes, you want to be helpful, but there is a fine balance between selling them the opportunity and the value that they're going to get and the outcome that they're going to get versus telling them the details of all the things that they're going to get, because they're just going to get more and more questions, and the more questions they have, the more reasons they have not to buy.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of our friend Brendon Burchard, I'll just pretend he's my friend as well.
Yes,
I always refer to his site, and it was so great seeing it at Kajabi Hero Live. If anyone is ever struggling over sales page design, go and look at any of Brendon Burchard's website sales pages. They are so simple. Sometimes he doesn't even take off the Kajabi blue, like the old blue, which hopefully
I know.
And the person in me who loves beautiful designs, it's like, oh, and then it's like, no, he's literally made $100 million with these crappy sales pages that other people would be like, oh no, I could never have that, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. The message matters, showing how it's going to help people, how it's going to benefit them. That's what matters, not the fancy stuff. The fancy stuff is like the icing. If you do not have the cake, you can't just eat icing. So
totally. I could not agree more.
Yeah, cool. What are the ways that you think Kajabi is seeing heroes make the most money on the platform? Like, is there one sort of, like, Vinny's going to share some trends, but is there something that you see and is it changing like as we progress?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I think there are the cool thing about Kajabi is there is we like to call them like building blocks, right? And there's so many building blocks inside of Kajabi that, like, what you, Sue, can build might look completely different than the thing that I could build with those building blocks. It's almost like Legos, right? And I think that's what makes Kajabi really amazing, but it also makes it hard in the sense that, like, there's not like one formula for how it could work. I know you probably know this better than even most people do, that like what works for one person might not work for another. And there's so many nuances with online businesses. But I think to answer this question effectively, my like most high level analysis of what is happening on the platform is kind of what we were just talking about simplicity. It's the people who take their audience. I think the number one most important thing is, if you are joining Kajabi, like, you have to have an audience. And again, this does not mean hundreds of thousands of people. It might not even mean 100 people, but you have to have some form of an audience that you are talking to and delivering content to regularly in order to be successful on Kajabi. If you don't have that, my advice to you would be cultivate that first. Do that first. Start to create content and value on social platforms, in an email list, whatever it might look like for you, but start to cultivate that so that by the time you join Kajabi, you actually have people who are willing to buy. That's the number one most important thing. But the people who are having the most success, they have an audience. They're taking that audience into a place that they own. Most oftentimes that's through some sort of opt-in or freebie lead magnet where they're delivering value in exchange for an email address. They then take those emails and they sell them a product based on the needs they know that their audience has. A fun little stat that I had pulled up for this is that in the last, I think it's 30 days, 40% of the products that were created on Kajabi by Kajabi customers. So we define products as courses, communities, podcasts, coaching, newsletters. I feel like I'm missing one. Digital downloads. Yes, there you go. 40% of the products, so one of those created on Kajabi in the last 30 days was non-courses, which is massive. Yeah. So I think more than ever, that stat kind of signals to us that people are moving more towards coaching. I think is a huge opportunity for people, especially if you've never sold a digital product before, because coaching doesn't require you to create content ahead of time. Coaching requires you to get on with your client one-on-one or group and riff just like we're doing now, right? And if you're a subject matter expert in your field, you should be able to do this and deliver amazing value with your clients. So coaching is a big thing right now because I think it's low barrier to entry for people who have never done this before. And then community / membership is another product type that I think a lot of up and coming Kajabi heroes are really leaning into. And that is a really amazing product for someone who, one, has an audience that's hyper engaged that wants to communicate with each other. I always like to talk about how there's like with communities, you kind of, as the creator, there's like this level of perceived value. So if I start a community and my community is all about photography, let's say, and I have 100 members in my community and they're all really active and they're engaging with one another. And then let's say we've had this community open for 6 months and I recruit a new person into the community that's really bustling, and they meet someone in that community who helps them in some way, shape, or form because they're all kind of networking together. That new person is getting value from someone who is not the creator of the community.
Yes.
But the creator of the community, that value is being perceived to them because they're the ones who cultivated this space. And so community is really interesting because over time, it's kind of scalable in a weird way. Like it allows the creator to like kind of create this resource and this ecosystem that benefits people in multiple ways without actually having to do all the content themselves. So that is another way I think that there is a trend towards our most successful customers and heroes having those types of products. And then the last thing I'll say on the most successful and like how they're making the most money is by offering order bumps, which is basically like a click button at checkout. I always like to describe it as like it's when you're in the grocery store line. And I hope this translates internationally because I'm definitely very like California specific here, but in the grocery store line, you know, you're checking out, you have all your groceries on the conveyor belt, and then there's a Snickers bar right there. And you're like, that would just be so great. And it's so easy to just boop, pop it right into the cart. So that is like an order bump. It's an extra little cherry on top right as you're checking out. Most of our successful heroes have order bumps baked in. And then upsells is what happens after you check out. So that I think is a really important piece to be able to continue to monetize your audience and increase your customers' lifetime value, which basically just means how much money they've generated with you for the life cycle of the customer. So I basically just described a full funnel, but that is seriously the most important piece, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few questions here because I'm conscious of your time. I'm sure you want to get back to Brendon. So if you're all right, just to stay on for like 5 more minutes.
I'm here with you.
Okay. How is Kajabi expanding its reach outside of the US? I know Kajabi is a US company. There is a lot of US heroes, but there is a lot of us maybe on the other side of the world or in Europe, Asia, like Australia, like, you know, New Zealand, lots of people outside. How is Kajabi expanding outside of being that sort of more US centric company?
Totally. So I can speak to some of the community related things that we're doing to continue to expand. So there's two things I wanted to share as it pertains to this. One is we are investing heavily in our partners. And so partners like you and others who are our international based partners, we are really, really, really conscious that you all make up a huge majority of why internationally we are known and we are chosen as a platform. And so we like to partner with people in those spaces because truly, like, who is better to advocate for your community than someone who's in that community and can like be that Kajabi translator, whether that's literally translating language or whether it's just talking about the concepts in a way that makes sense culturally and within the space that you are in. So we are heavily invested in our partners and making sure that they are equipped to go and share Kajabi and to be able to not just share Kajabi, but help support people in those regions and getting up and running. So that's a huge priority for us now, but it's going to continue to be a huge priority in 2025. We have lots of really amazing things coming. I'm very excited. And then the other side of how we're thinking about internationally, again, from a community perspective is last year we launched what we call Kajabi Sessions, which is a live events that we have across the globe. Actually, the first 2 Kajabi Sessions were international. And so it was London and Australia, as you know, and we did that very intentionally. We've never done events anywhere outside of the US, anywhere outside of Irvine, California. And so, which is where Kajabi was founded. And so it was really important for us as we thought about Kajabi Sessions is essentially our equivalent to like meetups and a little bit more like intentional time with, you know, smaller amounts of people, but like very hands-on training and strategy sessions. And so it was a very intentional choice to say, hey, the first 2 sessions that we're doing, they're actually going to be international, because we need to go into these spaces where we already have amazing community members, and we need to make sure that they understand that Kajabi cares about them and wants to equip them with all of the knowledge and resources to get up and running and to continue to scale. And so I'm really excited that in 2025, we're going to be doing even more Kajabi sessions. And we're kicking off our first one internationally as well in January. It's going to be in Dubai. And so that's just a small way in which we are going to be making sure that our international heroes care about us. And then, of course, there's lots of talk on the product side and just overall in the business about expansion of, languages on Kajabi and currencies on Kajabi and Kajabi payments coming to different regions. And so I'm sure the product folks could speak more eloquently to that. But on the community side, we're also really trying to think about our international customer base.
Love it. This is making me happy. I'm sure it's going to be making lots of partners and heroes around the world happy. Erica had a question about the next Kajabi Hero Live and dates. Erica and I actually talked about organizing another thing like outside of Kajabi for Kajabi experts to come together. So we'll talk to you more about that later. But, when will we learn the dates or even the quarter? I'm the friend she's asking for.
Oh my God.
Or maybe she is.
I know. I love that I'm asking for a friend. That's amazing. So we don't have dates yet. And the reason why we don't have dates is we literally haven't signed a contract. So I'm not being cheeky about that at all. We don't have.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I do expect that it will be likely in fall of 2025, probably similar-ish timeframe to when it was this year, which hopefully that worked well for everyone. But we will be very quick to share the dates as soon as we lock in a contract. And we haven't even totally nailed down where we're going to be doing it. I really loved LA. I thought it was a great location for it. So potentially there, but we've also talked about other places. And so yes, we will be sharing the details as soon as we have them, but it will be in fall of 2025.
Fall of 2025. Awesome. That is great.
That's the tea really I can share.
Fantastic. And we can share Dubai dates. I'll get that off you actually, Allie, if that's okay. And then we can, when you've got that info, and I'll share it with our community.
Yes, please. Yes. If we don't have Dubai dates just yet, we're very, very close to announcing them, but it'll be early-ish January, within the first 2 weeks of January.
Okay, perfect. Just a note from the other side of the world, people, as much notice as possible would be greatly appreciated so we can make plans.
Yes, totally.
There's many of us who would love to travel to events. So yeah. I do have another question from Eve, but can I just ask, what was your biggest takeaway or most fun thing from Kajabi Hero Live?
Ooh, is
it like picking a favorite child?
It really is. It really is. Honestly, I think for me, I loved the content on stage. And actually, okay, I'll do 2 things if that's okay. I loved the content on stage. Specifically, I was really excited to see the reception to Colin and Samir. They had a presentation. If you're not familiar with them, definitely go look them up. They're amazing on YouTube. Colin and Samir are relatively newer Kajabi heroes. They joined the platform last year or the beginning of this year. And they've had amazing launches and they have been incredible partners of ours. But they're definitely in a kind of different world, I think, than a lot of the Kajabi heroes that attended KHL. They are very YouTube focused. They are very creator focused. And they go out to a lot of creator economy spaces. And so what I really love to see is it felt the Kajabi heroes who have been doing this forever and know how to sell online and are really, really good at digital marketing and conversions and thinking about how to monetize. That felt like it was the audience. And Colin and Samir are amazing at audience growth and amazing at thinking about, positioning on YouTube and creating content for YouTube that drives people in and keeps them hooked. And it felt like there was this cool marriage of those 2 worlds. And so I loved the reception to their presentation. And then vice versa, they were blown away by the people at Kajabi Hero Live. They were this is legit. Ahad asked a question. We did a Q&A with them in the VIP session, and Ahad asked how many people had made 6 figures and 7 figures in the room. And I swear like 50 people's hands went up. And you could just tell Colin and Samir were like, oh my gosh, like there is significant revenue is sitting in this room. And these are like legitimate business owners. And so I just thought that dynamic was really cool. It kind of reminds me of, the best of what Kajabi has been meets like the best of what Kajabi can be. And it's that marriage that's really cool.
Yeah, well, my little funny thing about Colin and Samir is loved their presentation. It was awesome. But what I thought was the most coolest thing for anyone who ever worries that your head's going to get too big, Samir's dad was in the audience filming him like a proud dad. He was just like sitting there beaming. And I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. He was just sitting behind us.
Yeah, they brought a whole crew. Beautiful. It was like their whole families came. They sat front row. Yeah. They were so excited. Yeah, I love that.
It was phenomenal. All right, Eve has got a question. Hang on, before that. Maya's putting questions up everywhere. I loved a ton about KHL. The little thing that stood out was how the team applauded us as we left the ball. I almost cried when that happened, I got to say. I just won my award. I don't know if you can see it up the back there.
I did. I saw that when I joined.
But, everyone got that, though. Like, every single person when we left, if you haven't seen it, it's on, I think there's a little clip on social media. The whole Kajabi team stood around, and as everyone walked out, like, you guys were cheering us. Like, it's all that stuff that makes us as heroes feel so special.
Totally. Yeah, that was such a heartwarming moment. And what was cool is that it was very impromptu. Like we hadn't, that wasn't, oh yeah, no, that wasn't something we planned. That wasn't something that was like strategized. That was a very organic moment from the Kajabi team, which was really beautiful to see.
Yeah, the entire Kajabi team, every single person that I spoke to, the passion that everyone has just came through from every team member. It was just like, everyone just, it's nice. It feels like the company's got your back.
Yeah, totally. I think it was when you were doing the interview with Ahad that you had said that. And then was it you or someone else who said about our office manager?
Yes, me. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you had mentioned that same thing of like everybody at Kajabi is like loves their job. Even your office manager, I talked to her and she's like so excited to be here. And we told her that you said that, and she was like,
really?
So excited, like so excited. It's genuine. It's true. People love their jobs here, and people love their jobs even more when like they bond with our heroes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Catherine said that as well when I talked to her. She said it's a two-way thing. Like it's as nice for you as it is. Yeah, awesome. Eve has got a question around corporates in the creator economy. And are there many people doing that? Is that section growing? People using different strategies to reach or promote corporate audience?
Yeah, I love this question. Yes, we have a lot of people who do this. The other thing is that we have a lot of that I don't feel like we talk about a lot is a lot of people use Kajabi or have additional sites on Kajabi to train and onboard their teams. So they'll have like a whole training. I think James Wedmore does this. He has like a whole site that it has a course and material for any new team member who joins. They go through that course and they have to experience it and all that. And so we have so many different use cases like this for Kajabi, which I think goes back to what we talked about it being like building blocks essentially, and you could do whatever you want with it. And then lots of people who do corporate and sell it into corporations. And I think with the new invoicing tool, it makes that a lot easier for people to be able to kind of bulk sell something, which is really cool.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Love it. Before we go, I just wanted to give us a little chat about something super cool that is that's happening that Kajabi have put together, which is Kajabi's creator class. So I've got it up on the screen. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about how creator class came together and how it can benefit new and existing heroes? And give us a rundown.
I'm so excited about creator class. Like this feels truly like a dream realized, I feel like at Kajabi, because we have talked for years and years and years about how cool would it be if we could give away a course using our best customers, our best heroes, to share how they've built their own businesses. It's like so meta in a weird way. And So finally we were like, you know what, for this big rebrand, we should just do it. We should just gather up 4 or 5 of our best customers and people who are just like in there every day. Like every single one of these people is literally inside a Kajabi building themselves. Like, yes, they have teams. Yes, they, you know, they have people that they hire for stuff, but every single one of these people knows the platform and has personally gone through building and launching a successful product. And so we launched Creator Class. It is 100% free to join. You just have to share your email and then you will get access to it. The other really cool thing is that it's all built on Kajabi. So it is actually very meta, because when you sign up, you'll be able to go through the experience as if you were a student in a product that you sold on Kajabi. And so that's a really awesome experience for people who have never, you know, seen the student experience side of Kajabi. You get to experience that for free. And then each one of them teaches an awesome kind of part of the funnel. So you start with Brendon kind of setting up the stage for what creator commerce is and why we believe it's so important. He talks a lot about audience ownership in that, and how, you know, you have to be generating an audience, but you have to find a way to capture that audience in a platform that you own. Justin Welsh talks a lot about audience building. He gives a whole presentation around the different techniques he uses to grow his email list specifically. His is incredibly tactical. Yes. It's so cool. I love, like, when I saw he sent us his slides to like preview what the content was going to be, and I was like blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. He gets really granular about how he does stuff, which I think is really helpful for people. And then Natalie talks a lot about like, how do you know which type of product to sell and what product is right for you? Allie Abdal walks through how he launched his product on Kajabi. If you remember in KHL in 2023, he did a 90-slide keynote all about how he launched his product on Kajabi. And so he's going through a very similar presentation in Creator Class, like talking you through the email strategy, everything with launching. And then Dominique Broadway, who has an incredible business on Kajabi. She's made over $16 million on the platform. It's pretty astounding. And what I love about Dominique's story is she doesn't have the biggest like audience in the world. I think she has 150,000 followers on Instagram, which is great, but it's not the biggest. And so if you think
160 million,
like the return on investment there is insane, or like the average revenue per, you know, follower she has is massive. So she's a great example of why you don't need a huge audience. You just need the right product to sell to the right people, and you can have a really successful business. So she's talking about, after you launch, how do you continue to monetize? How do you continue to think about, you know, upsells and downsells and the life cycle of your customers? And like, what do you do after you launch and you have a great successful launch? How do you keep going? That's Creator Class. We are very proud of it. And it's, again, 100% free. And we really think that it gives, you know, creators, but especially people who have never done this before, a great blueprint from, you know, the people who have already done this for how to launch.
Yeah, it's like the kind of the biggest creators all come together, and it's kind of, you know, a lot of the times you'll pay a lot of money to work with some of these people. They've got courses themselves, and Kajabi's doing it for free to help us out. So I love that. I love that, having the different perspectives as well, because that's one of the things. There are so many people with so many different opinions, and it all works is one of the things I remember Graham Cochran saying one time. It all works. Like, all of it will work. Like, you don't need to do all of it. And, you know, as these people, they're all selling in different ways, different strategies, different audiences. And yeah, if you come back to those core pillars of building that audience, giving them something to buy first and foremost, before you do everything else, and get them onto your own platform, i.e. Kajabi. But yeah, you can go and register for Creator Class. Like Allie said, it's completely free. And Allie, I just want to say thank you so much. Thanks for popping in while you were at retreat with Brendon, and bringing the fire to the Fireside Chat. I love that.
Yes, I had to. No, thank you so much. And like, I know I already said this, but we are so thankful for you and the work that you do for Kajabi customers, Kajabi heroes, but also for the general audience in the creator economy. I feel like you add so much value. You have such great conversations, and you really, truly are a leader in this space. And so we're thankful that you are so kind to Kajabi, and that you brought our team onto these Fireside Chats to just share, hopefully, a little bit of wisdom. But if not, we had a great conversation.
Loads of wisdom here. Thank you.
Thankful for you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Allie. Appreciate your time. Tomorrow we're going to be talking with Vinny. Vinny is a legend. I met Vinny at Australian sessions, and he's fire. Like, I'm going to be like, Vinny, what is your actual job? I know he is the general counsel, but I feel like he's like the general everything.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and he. Yeah, exactly. Well, you are Kajabi. Vinny, everyone is Kajabi. But yeah, Vinny's going to be sharing some insights that the team, like with Allie, what she shared before, how 40% of people are signing up for non-courses. Like Vinny has got his finger on the pulse of all the things that we don't see, like that aggregate stuff that's happening in the background. So he's going to share some of that. So very excited. Join me same time tomorrow, 3 p.m. I hope you have a fantastic time at Napa for the rest of your time there, and appreciate you so much, Allie. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.